Hello everyone, we are at Dormer Pramet today for the MTA Technical Committee meeting. We had two presentations in the technical committee and one of them was from Kevin. He talked about the work-related health issues that affects the UK economy, the manufacturers. And I would like to have an interview with him about his talk today. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, how are you doing? Good to meet you.
Yeah, it was a very informative and, in fact, inspiring as well. So it led me to think a lot about many things. And you highlighted the cost of the work-related health issues for the manufacturers, for the UK economy, for the nation, in fact. Maybe you can talk about the highlights of your presentation for the audience.
Yeah, so obviously sort of manufacturing is at the core of our economy, and we depend on it to build things, to build economic growth, etc. But a core component isn't just the machinery, it's the people who operate and work around the machinery. One of the things that we've tended to do is focus on machinery efficiency and protection of machines, but the human component, which is so vital and increasingly rare and scarce, especially when you're talking about expertise, that's not always factored into the design and production process. And the effect of that is that we continue to see extraordinarily high rates of ill health caused by the workplace. Many of these are things that are easily preventable, but they're very hard to fix. So, you know, if you do your back in, anyone who knows who's got a back problem, once you've got it, it's very hard to overcome. But there are more significant illnesses associated with manufacturing, for example, respiratory illness. And I was pointing out that the cost of the particular sector of manufacturing that we're talking about to the UK economy in just respiratory illness is £135 billion. No, £135 billion. Now, there's not all this year, but over a period of maybe sort of 30, 40 years. That's the cost in benefits, that's the cost in health, that's the cost in social care. And at a time when we're in a country which cannot support its health, social care, etc., then the focus needs to be on really sort of designing process to design out these health risks. That's great for business, and the business case is a strong one, and it saves costs to business, but it also is a fundamental essential for the economy. So that was what I was trying to outline.
Yeah, because I'm in the CNC world. In the CNC world, and when I think about the respiratory diseases, maybe you can say who are the usual suspects for respiratory diseases for the CNC machining world?
Well, I don't think it's a question of usual suspects. It's often about how you interact the quality of the technology with the quality of the controls. Now, just because you're working with a particular type of material, type of machinery, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be good or bad. But you've got to think of the overall process design. So it's hit the headlines a lot around the use of CNC and engineered stone for kitchens, for example. And for the first time in many years, we're seeing acute silicosis. So acute silicosis, you've not got any symptoms until actually it's too late, and you're seeing people with average age of under 35 with irreparable lung damage, where the only solution is the removal of your lungs and a lung transplant. And that's something that's happened only in the last few years. So despite the fact we've got brilliant technology, brilliant scientists, brilliant engineers, if you don't look at the whole components, if you don't look at how materials change, if you don't look at control, then you can create problems. And silicosis is incurable, but we've known about it. The Romans were putting in controls for their slaves to protect against silicosis.
Wow. And also another area you mentioned was about the noise-related issues. In fact, I had asked you that question.
Yeah, and it's a great question because we tend to think about noise in the extreme.
Yeah.
So we tend to think about noise creating noise-related hearing loss. And actually that's a great area where lawyers are making lots and lots of money because noise-related hearing loss is relatively easy to prove and the cost to individuals and the cost to society is quite considerable. But it's not just the long-term noise consideration. There's a strong association with dementia, and that's a huge cost. And anyone who lives with dementia or with someone with dementia would consider that to be a really significant risk. And it's very strong association there. But also with depression, anxiety and stress within the workplace immediately. Immediate hearing loss is now an area where courts are focusing a lot of attention. And we also know things like premature menopause are stimulated primarily by workplace noise. So these are really serious considerations. It's not as simple as, you lose a bit of hearing, but
that's
we'll
what
put
I
some
was
hearing
thinking,
aids.
to be honest.
No, the noise-related damage is deeply ingrained with our whole set of bad outcomes for people in terms of human health. And as that gets pushed through, that's becoming more and more visible to the regulators and more visible to the lawyers who are suing businesses.
Wow. Yeah, I was only thinking about, as I said, loss of hearing, but you talked about dementia, depression, which are also big problems. And I had read somewhere that there is about 15,000 people reporting health-related issues in the UK every year. And
in
it's
terms
just
of
the
hearing loss
related issues, but maybe there's
this
dementia as well.
This is an estimate based on survey, and of course within certain it depends on the particular sort of factory or the particular infrastructure where you are, and we all know that you can go from one environment which is doing similar things to another environment because acoustics is no respecter of the technology itself. You've got to look at the overall noise profile of a building.
I understand. Maybe one final question for me. What do you think is the cost of these problems for the manufacturer or the economy?
So,
per person,
so in terms of manufacturing, I think you're probably going to be losing. And this is it's a hard calculation to make, but you're going to be losing about 50 to 100 hours worth of productive time because of hearing loss, but depends on where you are. So within a mature manufacturing sort of environment, etc., you can be losing about 200 hours. Okay, that doesn't sound very much. But what you also lose is speed and acuity. And one of the problems that we've long known about, problems with noise, is that people don't respond as fast. The temporary dislocation of hearing can have an impact on things, and it has an impact on safety. But then the longer term liabilities, you're talking about, you fall foul of a noise lawsuit, you can be talking about sort of £200,000, £250,000, and the price is going up very, very rapidly as the courts get more expert information.
Thank you for sharing this information with us. I am running a company called Productive Machines, and Productive Machines is solving vibration problems in CNC machines. So we of course want to reduce the cost of the manufacturers, increase production capacity and reduce the waste. But with the information that we are getting from you, it's clear that we can also influence the health of the people.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize that we can even influence dementia, but it's really giving us more motivation to work on this.
Well, and more power to you.
Nice to meet you.